Hey, Tom here. I'm in Plumpton today doing the Sussex Downs Half Marathon for the second year in a row. I've actually finished it now. I just forgot to do one at the start because it's quite busy. I have been taking out the Scarpa Ribelle something KT trail shoes. I've forgotten the name, but you'll know what that is because it'll be on the screen. I am now going to the pub and then going to head home, and I'll let you know how the race got on. Catch you later. So I am back now from the Sussex Downs Half Marathon, and I have done this race before. I did it last year, and the weather was completely different. It was really dry, sunny, bright. You could see for miles from the top of the South Downs last year. Perfect conditions for a trail race on the South Downs. This year wasn't quite like that. It was very misty, very foggy. You could probably see about 200 metres in front of you at most. Which was actually a bit of a plus point because you couldn't see some of the big hills, and there are quite a few big hills in this race, but it did mean that you didn't really get any scenery either. So it was quite beautiful in the same way. There was frost across the ground. Some of the woodland and stuff looked really impressive, but you didn't get any scenery. So that was a bit of a down point for me on that, but obviously not the fault of the organisers. It was also pretty good conditions for running a trail race. It wasn't wet. It was quite cold. So I think it must have been almost 0 degrees because I was running and sweating a bit, and my sweat was freezing over my arms. So when I finished, I had quite a lot of ice over me. And stupidly, I ran the race in a t-shirt, which was not a good idea because most people, I think everybody there was wearing a jacket. And me and my friend were doing it in t-shirts, which was fine, but I think I probably would have preferred wearing a jacket, especially on some of the downhills when the elevation picks up. But other than that, it was absolutely fantastic day. The race is part of the Run Rebel Trail Series. Run Rebel do loads of different races around the UK. Tend to be quite accessible races, so if you are new to trail running or you want to go and have a nice day out as opposed to going for like a full-on hardcore racing event, then they're a really nice option for that. It starts in Plumpton, which is a little village on the South Downs, and I think it starts at Plumpton Racecourse, which is a perfect place to start a race like this because it has toilets, has cafe, it has lots of other stuff, so it's really easy to set out. The route itself, it was fairly accessible terrain, so most of it was muddy paths, there were fields in it, little bit of sort of gravelly, rocky bits, but not a lot. Overall, it was a very comfortable, non-technical ground if you're wanting to hit the trails. There were some bits, especially in the wooded sections, where there were tree roots and things, so you did really have to keep an eye on where you were running. I didn't see anyone fall over or anything, but I did see a lot of big roots sticking out, so it's definitely it was a likelihood that would happen. The other thing I would say about the race is that if you are starting further back, then there's quite a lot of thin sections, so there's a lot of single file running, which means that you can't overtake. So I started back, I wasn't racing today, but I started a bit further back, and there were points where I wanted to overtake and I just couldn't. And there was even one point where a lorry had parked in the middle of the road, not the fault of the organisers, but everyone had to sort of shimmy past the side of it. And I went to the pub afterwards and I saw the same lorry and it had handprints all over the side. So if you were one of the people that had to do that, the lorry probably spent the rest of the day with all these handprints all over, and a lot of people were probably asking questions about what the lorry had been doing. The route goes across a fair bit of the South Downs, so it's sort of like this weird cross section of the South Downs around Plumpton. Takes a little bit of Ditchling and Beacon and stuff like that. Not that you could see any of it today. It was pretty much impossible to work out where you were on the route, but it's a lovely route. There are probably, I think there's about 550 metres of elevation I got on Strava. It was a pretty tough race. If you're not used to the trails or if you're not used to elevation, there's some really hard sections in it. And there are also some really nice downhills. So what I would say about the race is that the uphills tend to be a bit steeper than the downhills. So you get that nice gain where once you've powered up or you've walked up, you can really coast for quite a while on a nice subtle downhill and pick up a nice bit of pace. So that's one really nice feature of it. I remember that part of the race last year, and I really enjoyed those long downhill sections, and you can really pick up some nice speed on it. My time this year for this half marathon distance was 1 hour 52, I think. Last year I did it in 1 hour 42, but I did remember going quite hard on it last year. This year I took it a bit easier and just wanted to have a nice day out. But I would say overall it's a fantastic half marathon to do. It's very accessible. If you wanted a half marathon that eases you into trail running without being too technical, it's a great one for that. Also, you've got that shorter option as well, so you can come along with somebody maybe doing the half marathon, or you can just come along with some friends and do the 12.5k option. I think it's that distance, and just test it out. So it's well worth giving it a go and checking out some of the other races that Run Rebel have got. I definitely wouldn't mind trying a few more of those out because I'm a big fan of this one. Right, let's dive in and talk about the kit I tested. So I ran in the Scarpa Ribelle HT Kalibra. I think that's right. I'll put up the correct name. I always get the name of the shoe wrong because it's just a ridiculous name. No shoe brand should make a shoe name that difficult to remember the name of. So I tested this out for the first time last week. I did a run across the South Downs, which was pretty easy. And I wanted to see what it was like at race pace or over more technical conditions during a race. And I really enjoyed this shoe. It was absolutely what I wanted. It's not the lightest shoe in the world, but it did feel really nimble and nippy out there. It felt like I could really pick up the pace. On some of the downhills, I got down to about 3:35 kilometers. So I was really picking up the pace quite nicely. I had no issues with grip at all, and there were sections where there were some quite steep inclines that were a little bit muddy. Absolutely fine on it. I didn't slip once in the shoe. I thought it was really, really good. The Boa upper, which is this like snowboarding dial, which you can like close and open, it just felt like it really locked my foot down nicely. It was very comfortable and it was so easy to do as well. It only takes like 2 turns and you're basically done. The only thing I would say about the shoe, and I did read this in some other reviews as well, the ankle collar is really high. Now, I tend to have a problem. If there's a high ankle collar on a pair of shoes, it always rubs my ankle bone. And I really noticed this rubbing my ankle bone. I didn't have any cuts or rashes or anything like that on my feet afterwards, but I could definitely feel it was too high. So that's something to pay attention to. If that's something that affects you, this shoe might do that. But overall, I'm really, really impressed with this shoe. It's a little bit of it came out of nowhere. I'd never really known much about the Scarpa trail shoe range. I didn't really know what to expect from it. And in the 2 runs that I've done with it so far, I've really, really liked it. The Boa thing, which I think a few running shoe brands have been doing over the past couple of years, I really like it. I'm a snowboarder, so I'm used to the Boa construction, but yeah, really enjoyed it. It just felt like a solid, great shoe for hitting the trails and going faster in. Nice lockdown fit, good grip. All in all, really impressed with it. Definitely going to use it for some more runs as well. Might have to wear a slightly more padded sock though, just to make sure that I don't have any issues with this ankle collar. Other shoes that I would say are similar would be something like the Saucony Peregrine, very similar to this in the way that it feels, the grip, all that sort of stuff. But what I would say is that the Peregrine has a bit of a looser fit for me. I do prefer the fit on this one just because it feels a little bit more locked down and really holds the foot in place. But yeah, no other issues at all with this shoe. and looking forward to testing it out again. That's it from me. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that little bell. And if you go into the caption below, you can find a link to our podcast, which comes out at the end of each month. And if you're listening to this in December, then it's all about super trail shoes. So trail shoes that you're probably going to use for races. So nice and fits well with this video. Right, catch you next time.